Alright, so I stopped by an antique thrift store and I wanted a multi-band radio. There's that little cheap radio back there, AM, FM, and shortwave. But I wanted a nice radio that had some good sensitivity to where I could listen to my little station out from a far distance to see how far my station actually goes. But anyways, moral of the story, it's about this little guy right here. So, I found that radio brand new for $5 at the thrift store, and I found this one way in the back. And it didn't even have a tag to the booth that it was in, so the thrift store, they have multiple booths, so they didn't know whose radio this was. So they just said, it's yours. Just gave it to me for free. I'm like, okay. I was more interested in that radio rather than this one. Like, it's just a simple AM, FM, or medium wave. I was more interested in that one. But when I got home and started tinkering with the radios, my interest is more on this one. So, put some batteries in it. Didn't turn on. And I poked around with my multimeter. And voltage wasn't even getting to the radio. It wasn't even leaving the battery compartment. So, found out the terminals have slight corrosion on them. Not from like battery acid or batteries being left in there or anything. So I just did a light sanding on the terminals. Then I turned it on and got static. And I'm like, okay, so shot a little bit of deoxit in the potentiometer. Cleaned that up. Was receiving some stations on AM or medium wave. And AM was working. When I switched over to FM, I got nothing but silence all across the band. So let's go ahead and turn it on. I think switch it over to medium wave. Turn it on. There's no static in the volume knob, which is good. Wait a minute. I'm not getting anything. What's going on here? Did I take the batteries out? Alright, got it fixed. There was a loose connection in the wire of the battery compartment to the circuit board. When I was moving the battery compartment around, it was going in and out, but got the battery compartment situated. It takes 4 AA batteries, but without further ado, turn it on. So, it tries to pick up stuff. It could probably be more sensitive. It probably needs some tuning. Now let's switch over to FM. Silence. Now it will actually try to pick up my transmitter over there. And one other station, which is a local country station, which are close by. They're powerful, but that's it. It has to pick up a transmitter that's pretty much right next to it. So I'm gonna have it all the way up. Here's my transmitter. It doesn't have that 60 Hz hum on other radios. It sounds clear, but it's all the way up. Yeah, it was the country station. Pretty quiet. It's 97.5. And then the rest of the dial is silent. Nothing, not even static. So, alright, so here's the inside of the radio. This is the battery compartment. 4 AA batteries. And then I move it, and the radio will come in and out when I'm just doing that. Now, there's a knot on the other side of the board. Right there in the center. So, and the wires, the knot's there, and the negative goes over and connects, and it's a nice thick amount of solder, and the red wire runs all the way across the board and connects over to here. So I don't think it's a solder connection. I think there's just something wrong with the wiring. But I can always replace that. I did, however, replace the capacitors with the correct values. This capacitor here, and these ones over here. I missed one. That one right there. That's the original capacitor. This is in the ratio detector. I do have the schematic, however, it's on the phone that I'm using, so I can't technically show it in the video right now. So here's the RF stage. This is the first transistor. This metal tab is where the antenna connects to. In the back here, I did sand that up to get a connection, but that's not the problem. So this is the FM stage up here. There's the RF right here, and I think the IF stage is around in this area. It has 2 IF stages, I think, right in here and over here. Up here in this area is the AM section, and these 2 transformer coils and these 2 transistors and these 2 transistors, this is the audio amplifier. So up here is the audio amplifier. There's the RF stage, and over here this is your IF section, I think. And plus has the mixer in here with the oscillator. I'm learning as I'm going. You know, this radio is teaching me how to troubleshoot super heterodyne FM and AM receivers. So I like this radio because it's teaching me, and I like to get it working. So the AM may not need much. You may still need some sort of tuning. The FM, I would like to get it to work. So now here's the real shit kicker. Pardon my language, but I have brand new batteries in this thing. It's designed to run on 6 volts, and the schematic told me what voltages I should be measuring on the test points of the on these transistors. Almost a transmitter. I believe on either the base or the collector of these first transmitter back here and the right here connected to the antenna, I should measure 3.5 volts on one pin and 4.1 volts on the other pin. I forgot what was the third pin. Yeah, I was getting like 1.5 volts to 2 volts. So it's like a whole 1.5 volt low. And I just decided to power it up with 9 volts off my variable power supply. Not this power supply. I have another variable power supply. I fed it 9 volts, and the FM just came alive. It just worked fine. Like, all the stations were coming in. I'm like, what the hell? So there's a voltage drop. I don't know if it's just bad transistors. It probably is. You know, I'm the first one to be inside this radio. By the way, this radio was made from 1975 to 1977, and all the capacitors I took out had a date code of 76. So I'm assuming the radio was made in 1976. But I was the first one inside this radio, even though not technically, because you have to take off the whole cover to change the batteries. But as far as tinkering with the circuitry, yeah, everything looks untouched. But I'm gonna do some further tinkering, well, further probing with the multimeter and checking out the transistors and seeing where the culprit is. I'm checking voltage drops and stuff, and because this schematic is pretty good. It's not the best schematic, but it does show what voltages I should be measuring at certain test points, and I'm going to narrow it down to what could be the problem. It may not be this transistor over here by the antenna. This RF amplifier might be working fine. It might be in the IF stage or the mixer. Maybe the oscillator isn't working, you know, because that's important. It's kind of important in a super heterodyne receiver, you know, you need that oscillator working. So I digress. I don't have transistors compatible, but I have the 2N3904 These are the ED1502Es, and sometimes there's 1502Ds, but the data sheet doesn't really show much differences between those two transistors. It shows that 2 and 3904s are not compatible, but when I look at the specifications in the data sheet for these can do everything these can do, but slightly better. And I've found an Elenco super heterodyne AM/FM kit, and it uses these in the RF amplifier and IF stages. So, and both these transistors, the ED1502 and the 3904s, are just general purpose NPN transistors, and these have the same pinouts. So, what could go wrong? I mean, it's not like it's gonna go up in smoke if I throw those in, right? It may not work, or it may just work better than how it is now. So I'm seriously thinking about putting the 3904s in here and seeing if it works. If anything, it's just not gonna work the way it should, not receive, or it may just throw things out of balance where I have to slightly tweak the coils, and I really need an oscilloscope. But I don't think anything's gonna go poof up in smoke. I think it just won't work. But as bad as it's working now, it may just work better than it is. So that's the progress on this little 1976 transistor radio. Most of them stand up vertically, but this one is a horizontal transistor radio. But fun project. I love working on vintage audio, or vintage electronics in general. I went to college for it, and I like messing with it on the side. I'm just, I have a power supply, I have a frequency generator, I have a frequency counter, I have a big breadboard. I got everything I like, I just don't have an oscilloscope. But other than that, thanks for watching. I'm going to wrap up this video and see if I can make some more progress on this transistor radio that I just have too much of a sentimental attachment to it.